Alright guys, today is a super exciting day. We got our powder coated tip back from the powder coaters and it looks great. So you know what this means, we get to do an install video of the exhaust on the 4Runner. There she is, ready and waiting. Alright, we got the exhaust out of the box here, all laid out nicely next to the truck. Let me just show you this tip. That looks much better. None of that shiny chrome stuff. So that should come out hopefully right here somewhere. We'll find out where it lands exactly when we put it together. So I'm going to get under the truck. We'll get it going and we'll show you how it goes. Also want to give a quick shout out to my buddies over at Morris Auto. They're great guys. They do a lot of work for me. If you're looking for anywhere that's honest for car maintenance in the Rochester, New York area, make sure you guys check out Morris Auto. They're great guys over there. They do good work, honest and cheap. So check them out. Alright, let's get under there, get it going. I'm super excited to hear how it sounds when we're done. So the first thing you're going to need to do is put some comfy cardboard on the floor. Make sure you've got enough air in your air compressor, or if you're using hand tools, enough muscle to get you through. Take down the rear tire from underneath. You can find out how to do that in your owner's manual if you don't know how to do that. But take that rear tire off. And then underneath here, this plate has to come off with 12mm bolts. So I've got a swivel socket here that I'll attach to my impact gun, and we'll yank those bolts off. But you need to take this little plate off so that when you're ready, you can take the exhaust tube out the back. So we'll do that now. Now that that plate is removed there, you can see how much room that gives us to work with trying to get the exhaust tube, the tailpipe portion and over axle portion out of here once we unhook it from the muffler. So now we're under the truck. We've got the muffler right above our heads here and the rear tire right next to us. We've brought with us a 14mm swivel socket on an impact gun to get some of these bolts undone. We'll show you exactly which one's next. So from underneath here, we've got the muffler. That's the rear of the vehicle. Just behind it, the over the axle tube and tailpipe assembly is here, and it's held onto the muffler with two 14mm bolts up here on this flange that need to be removed from the top of the flange. The bottom of the flange here has two nuts that have been welded directly to the flange, so don't try taking those off, you won't have a good time. But take them off from the top, which is one of the benefits to the swivel socket that we have on our impact gun. So we'll get that up there, take those bolts off, and we'll get moving. So now that we've removed those two bolts, this tailpipe is free and quite wobbly. So it looks like, I haven't been back there yet, but it looks like there's only one hanger that will show you how to undo. Right, so we're at the back of the truck now. The tailpipe is loose because we unhooked it from the muffler. Take the pry bar in there and we pry the rubber piece right off the tailpipe. And now that that's free, the whole thing should come right out. Okay. Now that the tailpipe is gone, we'll move up and we'll take care of the muffler and detaching that from the catalytic converter. Okay, so now we're back up front. The muffler here, we took the tailpipe off of in the back, and it attaches to the Y-pipe from the converters with this flange and these two springs that are held on by these bolts. Again, 14mm bolts. The nuts on the back are welded, so we don't have to worry about holding onto those. So again, we're armed with our 14mm socket on our impact gun, and we'll just zip these off. And then we'll show you how to take the rest of it out. Okay, so we just took those two spring bolts off. The muffler is now free, but it's still attached by 4 of these rubber pieces here. We've got one here, one right behind us, and 2 at the very back of the muffler. So what I usually do to get these off is I take a pry bar and I put it right in between the rubber and the exhaust pipe, and I'll just pry like this until it pops off. So just pry, it'll pop right off. Same thing with this one and the two that are behind the muffler. And now, usually what I'll do afterwards, and we'll go over that when it's time, is I will spray these rubber pieces with some type of lubricant, WD-40 or penetrant. It just makes it a lot easier for putting the new ones in the holes if the rubber has some stuff on it. Okay, so now the muffler and the intermediate tube are gone. There's nothing there. This is the Y pipe from the converters, and luckily, probably because this is a new truck, this gasket stayed on the Y pipes, so we didn't have to fight with getting a new gasket or any of those types of things. We can just reuse this one, but you want to make sure you have a good, clean gasket. No big chunks missing, or if it fell apart or it came off with the muffler and you can't get it off nicely. You want this nice and clean. If not, spend a couple bucks to get a new one. It will help make sure your truck sounds the way you want it to, and not like there's a hole in the exhaust. So we're lucky that that stayed. I'm glad it stayed. The next thing we're going to do is take this straight pipe from the kit from MagnaFlow, and we'll get it bolted right up there using the spring bolts that we took out of here before we took the muffler down. So we'll get to that next. So we got the intermediate tube in. It's supposed to move around a little bit. That's the point of the spring bolts and that shape of the gasket. So don't worry if it's moving around a little bit. It should. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is fill this big hole with the muffler and keep working our way back. We'll go from the muffler to the over axle tube and then to the tailpipe. So let's keep it moving. We'll get the muffler put in. The first thing that we're going to do is slide those band clamps that came with the kit that you saw in the unboxing video over the pipes, so that we don't have to fuss around with trying to stretch them and put them over and that type of thing. So we'll slide it over the pipe first, put the muffler on, and what we're going to do to put the muffler on is first put it in these rubber grips, okay, that are meant for the muffler. That's going to help support it so that this, because it can move, is not supporting the weight of the muffler, okay? We don't want that. We want the rubber to support the weight of the muffler while we get this bolted up. So let's get to it. So we're back here now in the back of the truck. We got the muffler put in. There it is, and the straight pipe from the cats and the Y pipe. But, and like I said, I slid the clamp on first, but I don't tighten the clamps yet. Don't tighten any of the clamps. Slide them on, make sure they're ready to go, but don't tighten them up yet until you've got the tip right where you want it and you're sure that you're happy with the way that everything's set up. Then go back through and snug them all down. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is take our over axle tube, go over the axle, and hook it up to the muffler. Again, we'll slide the clamp on first so that it's there, but we're not going to tighten them up yet until we're happy with the setup. Then we'll go back through and tighten them all down. Now, these band clamps that MagnaFlow sent us use a 15mm socket. So again, we'll put a socket on our impact, we'll zip them down and make sure everything's tight, but not until we're happy with where the tip is. Make sure everything's set up the way we want it. It's level, it's in the right place, all those types of things. So we'll go through all that in a minute, but for now, we want to dry fit, sort of, if you will, all of the pipes and put them where we think we want them, and that's going to give us an opportunity to tweak things a little bit until we're 100% sure. Then we're going to go back through and tighten up a clamp and then check the end result. Once you tighten a clamp, make sure you come back and look, is the tip still where I want it? Is it still level? Is it twisted? Anything like that. If not, move on to the next clamp. Do the same thing, because if you just go and tighten up all the clamps, chances are the tubes are going to twist just a little bit when you tighten some of the clamps up, and you're not going to be happy with the position of the tip at the end. So take the extra couple seconds and just tighten a clamp, make sure everything's the way you want, again and again and again and again. Then you won't have to fuss with it when you're all done, and you'll be happy with the end result. So we're going to get to putting the axle tube, over axle tube in, and then we'll get back to doing the tip, and we'll get right back with you in a minute. So we just put the over axle tube in here, and again, it's not tight, right? It's not tight yet. It's just on the muffler, ready to go. And I started fitting up the tip, and I noticed that this flange right here is going to get in the way, this piece of plastic. When I try to stick this through that rubber, you see there, the tip hits that little plastic rib. Now, it's just a thin plastic rib on this inside fender liner. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the saw and buzz that rib right off, and then I think it'll fit perfect. And I may do the same thing to the other side just so that it matches, so it doesn't look funny that there's a rib on one side and not on the other. So let me knock that off and we'll come back. Alright, so we got that piece cut off. You can see here we trimmed it off. I put the tailpipe into this rubber support here. You can see that there's just enough clearance for us to get out to the side there. I think it looks good. It's pretty straight, looks pretty level. So I'm going to go ahead and start snugging up the clamps. Again, that's a 15 millimeter. Make sure you get those really tight because they can loosen up over time. So those clamps aren't really the best, but get them tight, and then we'll jump out and we'll take a look and make sure that everything wound up exactly how we want it. So I like the way it looks, I like the way everything fit. So now we're going to button it up and I'll show you guys from the outside. So one thing that we had to do is put this plate back on. Remember, we took that plate off. It's a little close. I don't think it's going to be a problem with a rattle, but we'll bend these fins as necessary if we start to hear a rattle. But I do want to put this plate back because right here is the rear tire, and we don't want too much heat coming right to that guy. We don't want to melt any treads that happen to be right here on the tire. So I am going to put this plate back. If it turns into a problem, I'll try to bend it enough that it's not a problem, and ultimately if we have to, we'll take it off and see how things go without it. But for now, everything's buttoned up. We're going to put the rear tire back in here. Everything's tight, and I'll show you from the outside. So we're all done. It looks great. Here it is from the back. And from the side. I'm really glad that I got it powder coated. I think it matches the truck much better with our black sliders and black roof rack, etc. Chrome is really not going to work for us, so I'm really glad we did it. It looks awesome, and I'm really excited to keep the exhaust gases a little bit farther away from the dogs when we have the windows rolled down in the back. So we're really amped to see it work. We're going to check it out pretty soon. We're going on a trip, so I'm super excited for that. Alright guys, that's all she wrote. It was a super simple install, went in real easy. One note is just make sure that whenever any of you out there might be using an impact gun, thread the bolts in by hand first. Make sure you can start them, and then go ahead and hit it with the impact. Don't go right at it because you might strip them or cross thread them or anything that may cause you more headaches, right? So take a couple seconds, feed them in by hand, run them in with an impact. So the installation went super easy. The old stuff was easy to take out. Make sure you take the rear tire out or you'll be kicking yourself in the head trying to get the tailpipe out. But take that down, tailpipe came right out, muffler came out easy, everything went in really easy. MagnaFlow did a great job making sure everything was in the right place. I'm really happy with the way that it came out. I'm glad we took the extra time to get that thing powder coated. It looks amazing. So we're super excited for it. Can't wait. I'm glad you guys watched the video. I hope you like it. If you do, please subscribe to our channel and like the videos. Leave any comments or questions you have below. I'll certainly get back to you as fast as I can. Look for us to be doing a video very soon about the difference in the stock exhaust to this new exhaust, so you'll get an opportunity to hear the differences, so keep your eye out for that. Again, if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get that right to your email, and you'll know as soon as those things come out. So thanks guys, I'm glad that we could do this for you today. It's been a really great time. Keep the positive comments coming, I love it, and thanks to all of our servicemen and women out there. So take care everybody.